Hello everyone and welcome to Nervous Nessie. I wanted to shoot a quick video and kind of do a recap of the New England trip and kind of what I thought about the trip in general. This trip was surprisingly kind of awesome. I wasn't expecting to see and do everything that I did, but there are some things that I wanted to talk about and kind of discuss that happened with the trip. So my first stop on the trip was Portland, Maine. I only had really one full day in Portland. It was kind of like a partial day, then a full day and a partial day, but the partial days were kind of short. I thought that Portland was a beautiful city. The people there were very friendly. Got tons of seafood there to eat. Wish I could have stayed a couple of extra days, but couldn't because I had to hop all over to other states and cities. But Portland, Maine was a very pretty city and I do recommend going there, especially if you happen to like lighthouses. Portland, that whole area up in Maine has a lot of different lighthouses, so you could stay in Portland and then venture out into Maine if you wanted to. Now, Boston is a really cool city. I really liked Boston a lot. I would say the kind of the layout, the vibe of Boston to me is kind of similar to Chicago. It is kind of a hustle bustle, but there is a lot of old history there. I would say Boston definitely has a lot more historical stuff in comparison to Chicago, but comparing major cities, I would say Boston is fairly close in vibe and layout, and the food and the people kind of similar to Chicago. So if you've ever been to Chicago, you would kind of feel, I guess you could say, at home in Boston. Now, that's not to say that one city is better than the other. They're two totally different cities. The vibe there is upbeat. The people are very friendly, but it is a different culture there. You do have the history that with all of the different immigrants that have come and settled in Boston, and that's why in Boston you have little pockets of communities like Little Italy, Chinatown, just various little pockets of communities of different ethnicities and backgrounds that have come to Boston. And that's kind of one thing that makes it fun, is that you can venture through each one and they are very, very different. The walkability in Boston is really good. There's not a whole lot of hills. There was like, I think maybe one, maybe two that I encountered that I was like, okay, I need to put forth some effort to get up this hill. For the most part, it's extremely walkable. I felt very safe in Boston. Same thing for the surrounding area, like when I went over to Harvard in Cambridge. Both Boston and Cambridge, the areas, you feel very safe, and that's saying a lot for me because I am a woman traveling by herself, but I never had any kind of bad vibes going through there. I felt safe at all times. Even at night, when I visited with my friends from high school, I left the restaurant. It was late. It was like, I think like 11 o'clock at night, and I had to walk a good mile, maybe mile and a half, to get back to my hostel. And I was walking alone at night in Boston and felt perfectly safe. And then as far as the Cambridge area goes, very beautiful over there. I like that there's a lot more kind of smaller local shops compared to like big name brand shops. It just kind of adds to the ambiance with Harvard, where it's very quaint, very small. Harvard is a very small campus. When I went to college years ago, the campus that I went to was huge, even in comparison to Harvard. And it wasn't a major university that I went to. But yeah, it's a very nice area, very safe. The trains, you can get through Boston and Cambridge very easy on the trains. So I highly recommend going to Boston, and if you can, make your way over to Cambridge as well. New Haven was an absolute joy for me. I was completely blown away by the day. I only had really one good day, not even a full day. I had like 7 hours to explore New Haven, and I absolutely loved it. It's probably one of the most, if not the most, memorable days when traveling. It was just a joyful day. I guess is the best way to explain it. I got there, I think it was around 2 o'clock, got checked in at my Airbnb, went to the Pez factory. I had read online it was kind of small. I guess the pessimist in me, I kind of set low expectations on everything. That way, when something good does happen, I'm like overblown, and shocked. But I thought, okay, it's the Pez factory. It's a candy factory. Like, how much fun could it really be? No, it was a lot of fun. Even as an adult by myself, not having kids, it was a lot of fun to go there. And of course, I walk out with a bunch of candy. Who doesn't love that? And then the fact that I was able to walk for a very long time through the Yale campus. I know the video that I posted of that day was kind of long, but the actual footage of me walking through was even longer. I had to cut it way down. The campus is huge, huge. I would say it's probably one of the biggest campuses I've ever been on. And I've been to a lot of major university campuses in the United States. I love architecture. No shortage of architecture at the Yale campus. And then surprised by the pizza. I was very surprised by how good the pizza was there. While I didn't say this in the video of that day, but while I was eating the pizza, I was looking on my phone for like, okay, what else can I do? And I did notice that there was a park nearby. Now I'm thinking a park, just an open recreation area. And when I looked on the map, there's little icons that has like a camera. And you can click on that on your map and it will show you this is a place that people frequently take pictures at. So I thought, okay, well, this might be worth going to because there was several. There was about, I think 3, maybe 4 of those little icons in that park. So I thought, worth going there. I didn't look at the actual pictures of what everybody had been taking, or I would have realized that it's on top of a huge mountain. But like I said in the video, the hike up the mountain was not that bad. If you are in moderate shape, that's what I would say I consider myself, moderate shape. I don't go to the gym regularly. I rarely work out at all and do any physical activity, but overall my health is in good general health. And most of the time the walking I do is reserved only for these trips. My day-to-day life, I'm sitting in front of a computer. So if you are in moderate health, then you should have no trouble making the hike up the mountain or down the mountain. Make sure you bring plenty of water, maybe some snacks, protein bars, something like that, if you're going to do the full all the way up and all the way back down. I was shocked by the view. I was shocked that I got to see deer right in front of me out in the wild. Now, obviously, I've seen deer before, but just seeing it that up close and completely out in the wild, I was in their environment. To me, that was a very joyful moment, kind of made my day, if you will. I decided to walk all the way down the mountain because I noticed on the map there was the waterfall and then there was a covered bridge. Again, I found that by looking at the little icon that has the camera. So I thought, well, I could take a ride share to that, but why wait on a ride share to take me there? I can just walk it. It's all downhill at that point. Now, the next day after New Haven was a little brutal. I know that video, I didn't shoot really anything for that because it was just a lot of nothing. I was on the trains and the bus. The two trains, it's a lot of passing footage, which I did take, and it is beautiful, but I'm sure you guys don't want to just see passing trees for hours on end. And then the bus, by the time I got on the bus, it was already dark, so I couldn't really film anything anyways. And because it was so late on the bus, everybody on the bus was trying to sleep as best as they could. And I could tell that everyone on the bus was just done. We were all so tired. We were coming from all different walks of life. There was a couple with a young child that got on the bus behind me and struck up a conversation with a couple of people. They were from New Zealand, moving to the US for work. And I felt so bad for them because their planes, trains, and automobiles to get to that point was, I think, something like 72 hours nonstop. So for me to have one day of two trains and a bus, I couldn't complain. I did meet some of the people on the bus, and it was kind of nice to be able to converse with them to kill a little bit of time. Burlington, Vermont, again, was another surprise for me. I had not done any research at all because I was supposed to be going into Montpelier. I did all of my research for my trip with Montpelier in mind. And so with the trip being go, 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 go every single day, I had no time to research Burlington and what on earth was I going to do there. And of course, that would be one of the days that I have extra days to be able to explore, and I had nothing planned. So I kind of had to wing it. The next day, got up, explored Burlington, which is very walkable. It's a small city, which is very nice. A lot of local shops, and took the boat out, which I was surprised at how inexpensive that was. That was very nice. Met some people there in Burlington as well. And the airport in Burlington was actually really cool. I was kind of shocked with that. But overall, I would say this trip is one of my favorite trips. I was very exhausted, just constantly going. But I met so many amazing people, ate some great food. There is great food in New England, and got to see a lot. I definitely want to go back to all of those cities again in the future because they are pretty amazing. When I went, it was, I believe it was in July, the cusp of summer going into fall. It was very warm. Sometimes it was hot, but I would like to go back in the fall, maybe more like September, October, to see the changing of the colors on the trees and have more of a cool, crisp fall air about New England. I would like to maybe sometime go back in the winter, but it's kind of hard to do the more northern states in the United States in the winter because winters can get a little brutal. But generally, the New England states are busier in the summer and especially the fall because so many people go there for the changing of the color of the leaves on the trees. But if you want to kind of get a little bit cheaper price in New England, maybe go in July where it is still pretty warm, but it's not as busy and prices aren't as expensive. Same thing going for visiting Harvard or Yale campuses or any of the other New England universities. Maybe you are a parent and you have a child that is wanting to check out some of the universities in New England because they're going to be graduating high school soon. Maybe check those out more in the summer months because the campuses are not as busy. They're not completely dead because there are still tourists in the area and other parents wanting their children to check out the campuses, but it is easier to navigate the campuses during the summer. I highly recommend doing a New England trip. The people I met that I went to high school with, they ended up flying into, I believe, Boston, getting a rental car and driving up the coast, up to Maine, hitting different cities along the way. And I followed their route on social media and got to see what all they saw, which was very different from what I saw. It's just two different types of trips. They stayed in hotels, had a rental car. For me, I stayed in Airbnbs and hostels, and I walked and did public transportation. Both are fine, but it's kind of what you want to get out of it. If you want a more intimate, memorable trip where you can go off the beaten path and really see a city or a town in its purest form, then walking is the best way to do it, or public transportation is the best way to do it. If you're wanting to try and cram in a lot of stuff and you want the freedom to be able to move around and see a lot of things really fast, then getting a rental car is probably the way to go for you. If you want a more luxurious trip, stay in hotels. If you want a more social environment, then stay in Airbnbs or hostels, as well as if you're wanting to save a lot of money, Airbnbs and hostels are the way to go. But I hope you enjoy this recap of the New England trip. Don't know when the next trip is going to be or where I'm going to go, but whenever I do, I will take all of you with me. If you would like to know when those videos come out, then subscribe below. If you have any comments or questions about the New England trip, anything that you saw in the videos, or if you have any questions about the food or what to wear, any kind of questions, leave those in the comments below and I will try to get to those as soon as I can. But until next time, bye!